Hey there guys, in this video we're going to be filling out our fingering chart and note names for our first set of notes on the clarinet. Really quickly before we get going, I just want to go over, we'll have 3 items. The name of our note, what it's going to look like in our music, and then our fingering chart. I'm going to say a couple words, I want to clear them up real quick. If I say the teardrop key, it's this triangle guy up top. If I say thumb key, it's this one circle by itself. And if I say top tone holes, it's the stack of 3 above the line. And if I say bottom tone holes, it's the stack of 3 below the line. All right, let's get into it. So our first note that we're going to go over is A. First thing we're going to do when we write our music down is draw a treble clef. You're going to start with a straight line from above the staff all the way to the bottom line. Then you're going to draw a loop or a curved line from the top down to the second line to make it look like the letter P. Without picking up your pencil, you're going to continue to loop down, curve, touch the bottom, loop back up, and get to that middle line. And then the final step is to add a little tail. Now, if your treble clef didn't come out like this in the very beginning, that is okay. It takes a lot of time and practice. I've drawn so many of these and they did not start off looking like that. I promise you. All right, so our first note A is going to be in the second space of the clarinet. So we're going to count from the bottom, 1 space, 2 space. We're going to draw a nice whole note, which is an open circle. And I want to cover when we have a whole note that is in a space, or any note for that matter, we want to make sure that it goes and touches the line above it and the line below it, but it doesn't go past. It is very important to make sure that we are exact when we write these notes. All right? Let's see if this will focus back on this paper again. Maybe I'll change the lighting. A little better. All right, so over on our fingering chart, this fingering is going to be very easy. It is only going to be our teardrop key on top. All right, we're going to go down to our next note. We're going to go to G. So our G, we need to draw a treble clef again. The treble clef tells us exactly what notes we're playing. There's a couple of different clefs, and they all mean that you play lower notes. But this clarinet, this instrument, always uses the treble clef. So for G, we are going to do a whole note on the second line from the bottom. 1, 2. Drawing that second line. When you're drawing a note on the line, be sure that it does not touch any line but the one that it sits on. Always leave some space. And on our instrument, this is it. We don't press any buttons to play G. It is completely open. All right, so we are done with that fingering chart. We're going to move on to F. We're going to need to draw our treble clef. Now, I'd rather you draw this treble clef neat than quickly. If you have to take time, take your time. F is going to be in the bottom space, so it is 1 space on the bottom. A nice whole note. And the fingering for F is just the thumb key, this circle to the side. Hopefully you can see that. Looks pretty good on this camera. Next we're going to E, and as we go lower, our notes are going to move down on the staff until they fall off the bottom. You guessed it, strong treble clef. That one looks a little funky. Oh well. E is the very bottom line of the staff. So we're going to draw like that. And E, like F, is going to have our thumb key, but is also going to have our first key on top of this break. So we're going above to this first circle, not the teardrop, just the circle. All right. For D, a new treble clef. Don't forget the tail on the bottom. It looks nice. For D, we are actually going to go below the staff. When you're drawing a note below the staff, that's a D, It needs to touch the top line and then exist below it. Don't leave it just floating in infinity. Make sure that it's attached to the staff somehow. All right, and over here, it is going to be our thumb key, our first and second tone holes above the halfway mark. All right. Moving on to C. This is going to be our home note when we start learning. So this is an important one. So tuba, trombone, some baritones, those are instruments that don't play with a treble clef. They play with a bass clef, and their notes are very low in pitch. So for C, we're actually going to draw another line underneath this staff. We need to add lines. They're called ledger lines. I'm going to draw a little arrow. You don't need to draw this if you don't want to, unless you'd like to remember. Ledger line. Oh, that was my pencil. All right, we're going to draw a single small, oh man, this pencil's giving up on me. A single small line straight across, about the same space from the other line above it, and we're going to draw a whole note on that. Now, I don't think I mentioned this in the beginning, but it's super important that we use a pencil, because if we mess up, when we mess up, we're going to need to erase. So part of a good pencil is a working eraser. If you don't have a working eraser, make sure you get a new pencil. I haven't made too many mistakes in this video so far, so I haven't had to use it, but I promise I'll make some in the future. So for our fingering chart for C, we're going to fill in that thumb key and all three of the tone holes in the top part of this fingering chart. Okay, so a recap of our fingerings. We have our teardrop key for A, just the thumb key for F, 2 for E, thumb and 2 more for D, and then thumb and 3 for C. All right. Now we're going to get fancy with these ledger lines. All right. For our B, we're going to need to draw our treble clef. We're going to draw a ledger line underneath the staff, and our B is actually going to go below that. We're going even lower on the clarinet. We're pushing down more fingers, and our pitch is going down, down, down. So for our fingering, we're going to fill in that circle for our thumb, all 3 circles for our top. And this is important, the middle circle on the bottom. The clarinet is set up so that in order to play a B, you need to press the middle on your bottom hand, which will be your right hand. If you press the top in your right hand, it will be a different, incorrect note. All right, our final note that we're learning, low A. We started off with high A. We're going to end with low A. And it's got a completely different fingering. So, to draw low A, a treble clef, 2 ledger lines. 1, 2. I don't like that ledger line. I got to erase that. Not neat enough. I try to be as neat as possible. 2 ledger lines. 1, 2. And our A will go on that second ledger line. All right. You can see both ledger lines. On our clarinet, we're going to have our thumb, all 3 on top. Be careful to fill out these fingering charts nice and neatly, because when you ask me about playing different notes, I'm going to tell you to look at your chart. And then the 2 underneath the bottom half. All right, so let's take a look at these fingerings. We got low A, thumb, plus all on the top and 2 on the bottom. Low B, thumb, plus 2, 3 on the top and the middle on the bottom. C, thumb plus 3. D, thumb plus 2. Got in the way. E, thumb plus 1. F, just thumb. G is open. And A, just the teardrop key. All right there. That's going to be it for this video. We will learn how to make sounds on our clarinets in one of the next videos. Thank you guys. Make sure you fill this out, keep your name on top, and I'll see you at lessons.